Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Community Conversations. I'm Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, and every Wednesday evening we are here talking about Rhode Island and some of the important issues that we're challenged with today with the COVID and the health crisis and the economic crisis and the impact it's having on our small businesses. And we're using that opportunity to communicate with anyone that's out there in Rhode Island that needs help. They can call our office at 222-2371. They also can email us at Lieutenant Governor LTGOV20@gmail.com. That's a special email address that we set up to take questions, or whether it has to do with unemployment, or whether it has to do with business regulation, or it has to do with health issues. We're certainly happy to respond and provide you with the right direction to make sure you get the answers. You also can share this program. I would encourage anybody that's watching it, share it out. The more people who can see it, the more people that we can help. And so we appreciate you sharing that out to your friends. And also, if you have any questions, you can use the chat. And Ben, who is our producer here, will bring on questions as we go along tonight. So that's kind of the scoop of what we're talking about. I want to just talk about three things before we bring Lori Jattari on. She's got this fabulous 7-minute video about small businesses, and Lori's one of our founders of the Small Business Rhode Island Small Business Coalition that is growing, and we encourage all small businesses to go to rismallbusiness.org and become a member of our Small Business Coalition. Not only are we talking about things that are happening right now, but long term, we want to make sure that Rhode Island does everything it can to be a small business friendly state. Our small businesses are so important to our local communities, our local economy, to our employment in the state of Rhode Island, and we need to do everything we can to help those businesses survive this economic crisis that's been brought on by the health crisis. So wear your mask, wash your hands, keep the social distancing, follow those rules. That's how we're going to get our economy open. That's how we're going to get our schools open. And talking about schools, I'm using every option that I got here to really plug in that we need to do everything we can right now. I don't care right now if you're high income, low income, middle income, whether you're a minority family or a non-minority family, whether you're going to a district school or a private school or a charter school or a mayoral academy, if you're attending school outside the state of Rhode Island, our students right now are going to be very pressed because of the lost learning time that's going to happen from the time that we shut the schools down till the time we're actually back in full swing, which we are not there right now, and we're going to have some form of an abbreviated schedule on that. So we need to do everything we can to help all our students make sure that they are catching up, and we can't expect our schools to do that. They're going to be challenged just to open up the way the conditions currently, they currently exist, right? So I'm advocating let's do something that I did as a mayor in Cumberland. We put together a mayor's office, a municipal education department, and we've run 52-week a year education programs in reading and math and music and art and robotics and science and leadership strategies. Very academic. It's helped our community, immeasurably, and it can help every community in the state. And we're going to need them right now. So there's ways that we can get that done, and we should explore that. And if you have any other ideas about how we could improve our schools, our education for our young boys and girls that live in the state of Rhode Island, call our office, get on the list. We've started to engage conversations that I think are very, very important, and that work is going to continue. So please be my guest, and we'll have a program within the next couple of weeks that we're working on that will be specific about things that we need to do to help our students who live in the state of Rhode Island overcome some of the obstacles that are in their way right now. And one of the big ones is the hundreds of hours of learning time that they're losing, and we got to figure out a way to make that up. So I did the health thing. We did the schools. Now we're going to talk about small business. And I have started another tour, a 39 community tour. This one is that take it outside, along with the governor's thinking about while the weather's good, let's take our meetings outside. And I was in North Kingstown today and visited with Kristen from the North Kingstown Chamber. It's about 7-8 businesses. Supplied them with some masks that have been donated to our office to help those small businesses out. If you want us to visit your small business or you want us to visit your community, just let us know. We are starting to schedule that, and over the next month and a half, we expect to be in every community in the state of Rhode Island, talking to the small businesses, talking to the municipal leaders, getting a temperature of what's going on and how we can help them. I can tell you that there's a grant program, $50 million, that's going out very slow. A number of businesses are not are not eligible for that small business grant that we have been working on. But people should apply for that. Out of the 8 businesses we visited today, one of them actually had received the $7,000 grant. The others still felt as though the application process was cumbersome and it was not simple. It's not certainly as simple as the federal SBA programs with the PPP or the EIDL loans, which were a great deal easier to get for hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases than it is for our grant program that's currently set up with Commerce to get a maximum of $15,000. We want that money to go out, so apply, and we're working very hard to try to help Commerce, help the governor see that the money will go out a lot quicker if we're able to. Oh, there's Kirsten, right? Kristen there, North Kingstown. Hello. Thanks for a little plug there. That's good on our tour. Yeah. So apply. We want you to apply. We want to get that money out on the street, and then we also will continue to advocate for more dollars and more businesses and distribute those through all the communities in the state. So apply at the for those grant dollars. All right. So tonight. We're bring on Lori. Lori is one of our Lori Jatari. Lori, how are you? Good evening.
Good. How are you?
Yes, I want to just introduce you as one of our. Not only are you an owner of a small business in the state of Rhode Island, but you also have been very active to help us set up a coalition of small businesses in the state, Lori. And so, thanks for your leadership. And we have thousands of businesses on that. We encourage people to go to rismallbusiness.org and register. I think I recruited 4 or 5 more businesses today on the tour that I had. So
that's good.
But yeah, so we want to start this program. Yesterday we kind of gave a little intro of a great video that your company has done to really focus in on the small businesses and the needs and the impact that this health crisis has had on our small businesses. Why don't you just talk a little bit about that, and then we'll run the video for everybody to see, and then we'll bring on some of the businesses that you had on the video.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So we set up the video as a Shop Local Rhode Island piece, and we wanted to begin telling the stories of what the businesses were experiencing. And the more we onboarded businesses onto the Shop Local Rhode Island site, the more we realized that there were some stories that needed to be told. So I love the idea that this is about community conversations, because we edited the video after it was all done, trying to create the outline, and we walked away from that day thinking this is all about community. I mean, and you'll see that in the video, the comments around community and supporting our business community. And the conversation part is this idea of being able to keep small business in the conversation and not allow the small businesses to kind of go by the wayside with the hope that they do what they're supposed to do. So I really think that, and we have 7 more videos coming up, one at a time, but we got these 3 amazing companies together, and you'll be able to ask them questions and talk about this. But They're in the video and they talk about how they have navigated so far through the pandemic.
Yeah, well, I'm really interested in hearing them. I think that the people that are watching this are going to be very interested because there's no one that's not impacted by a small business in some way. Either they're working there, or they own it, the family is involved in it, or they do business with the people. It was no different. The businesses that I visited today down in North Kingstown,
especially, and people don't want to go too far away. They want to be in their community. They want to go to the local stores and know the people and know that they're safe. I think that's actually how the whole thing started. I was sewing masks and I was wondering what was open, and I was wondering where I could go for food and for what I wanted. And did people know what other businesses were open? So that was the very beginning of this idea that we had. And so we have an opportunity to really tell a cool story. I'm so impressed by these companies. We're in it, but we watch it every day.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Yeah. So let's run the video, and then we'll bring on your guest, and we'll open it up. And again, I encourage anybody that's out there that wants to make comments on this to please do, and let's run it.
That day that I closed the studio, that Sunday, and locked the door, there were times this spring where I didn't think I would be coming back, that I didn't think I would open that door again.
We had a moment when we realized that this was a major, major deal that wasn't going to be going away anytime soon, and said, I think starting tomorrow, we should not be letting customers in our stores.
People were scared and uncertain. We had to shut our doors, and we're kind of like, well, what are we going to do now? Our business is service.
There's no such thing as just another small business. It's not just an ice cream shop. That ice cream shop, that travel agency, or that hair salon, they're all important to those individuals running those businesses. That's how they raise their families. That's how they put food on the table.
What I love about Rhode Island is the sense of community. We have such an amazing, diverse population of people here in Providence, and that's what I've loved about doing business in Rhode Island.
It's why you're in business. To be able to support your community, what's the reason to be in business? So you can leave a positive imprint on the community.
COVID has definitely, I think, strengthened the local relationships.
Anytime we could kind of figure out a way to draw another business in, we tried to do that just to really show the support and the connection with the community.
Towards the 15th of March, we were realizing as a state that the pandemic was really becoming quite a serious issue. That last week that we were open, we cut our class capacity by 50%, and on March 15th, we closed. The hardest part for us has been when we shut down. It wasn't just that you close your doors. It's the loss of our relationships with people. People come to this practice for a reason. There's a sense of community, a sense that it connects them with who they are. We went from seeing each other every day and practicing yoga with each other every day to not seeing each other. We've outfitted both studios in this new location with good quality webcams. We have computer technology. Whatever class we have in the studio can now be live streamed. Students went home to live with their families, but loved our community so much that they continue to take classes with us out in California, down in Florida, and other countries. So we continue to offer the virtual, which we'll continue to do now. It's a good model for us.
We were an essential business. No one mandated that we do the curbside pickup and delivery only, but we felt it was really prudent. I could see my staff getting less and less comfortable with customers in the store. And while it was a hardship to work that way, I don't regret for a second doing that, because it did keep us safe and it did keep our customers safe. I wouldn't be surprised if we're doing it 10 years from now. It was not an easy way to do business, but we weren't trying to do an easy thing. We were trying to do a safe thing. I know a lot of our customers are shopping here because we've been so responsible. A guy called from Burrillville wanting a stain and asked if we could ship that stain to him in Burrillville. And I said, we don't need to ship it because I'll bring it to you. He said, but I live in Burrillville. And he acted as if he was in Nome, Alaska. You know, I had to talk him into the fact that I was going to bring it to him.
Like everyone and all the other businesses, I mean, it was just an absolute crazy time. So we kind of had to, regroup and try to brainstorm and figure out what are we going to do now. And then we started producing hand sanitizer.
We could get the ingredients to make sanitizer fairly easily. Packaging it, however, was a challenge. There was an extreme shortage of spray bottles, spray caps. At some points, we did have to order outside of the country and wait 3 or 4 weeks while there was a dire need.
When the pandemic hit, we had to shift gears and really, do an overhaul on our business, starting with cocktail kits, recipes to go, and then we did instructional videos. We couldn't have people inside the bar, but this was kind of a way to connect and have that relationship again. We started bottling some of our cocktails that people really enjoyed. We decided that we didn't want people inside. So I think that's a challenge that we're looking into and trying to figure out a way to work with the building to kind of create an outside space that people will enjoy and feel comfortable and safe in.
We have this great opportunity right now. We really need to have a conscious effort to show that our small businesses matter.
I've never had as many people articulate how appreciative they are. Which restaurants do you want to be around? Get takeout if you're not comfortable going in. Really, what do you want to still be here on the other side and support those businesses, because it makes all the difference.
COVID is emotional for so many reasons. People have lost loved ones. They've made new friends through donations and working with other communities and organizations. And so we cannot say thank you enough. It's just great that the community that COVID reminds you that you had and that it has created and built. We're just really super grateful, and we know we're fortunate.
Yeah, so that was great, Lori. I was I was with Kristen Urback, the executive director of the North Kingstown Chamber. I was telling her about this video. They did a fabulous video before the COVID about a year ago about North Kingstown. Those are very powerful and very convincing presentations. Here's a picture of me down there because I got a big kick out of it because there's Kristen and the owner of one of the owners of the Inside the Scoop down in North Kingstown.
Oh, that's so
and
good.
I was telling the story here's me at another ice cream shop. So I'm going to get a lot of good ice cream, I think, before this is all over. But the story is that it's not just an ice cream shop. It's not just a restaurant or just a barber shop or a travel agency.
One of the things that I didn't say was when I was sewing the masks, what I really wanted was ice cream.
Well,
and I was trying to figure out where am I going to get ice cream right now?
Well, the ice cream shops are going to be happy because the theme is not just an ice cream shop, but I want to tell everybody watching and listening and it's not, when I say ice cream shop, it is any small business that's out there. Any small business that's out there, they're important. And the advocacy that we need to bring to the table here, both now and long term, is very important. And you're part of the people that are bringing that advocacy forward. So thanks, Lori.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you so much. I mean, just watching the video, I mean, I know it like the back of my hand right now, but I think this idea of coming together, and as Rhode Islanders, I always feel like one of the beauties of the state is that we always know, we're like two steps removed from each other in some way, and yet, the guy in Barville feels really far away. So we feel like it's a big state, but we have so many connections and we have so many ways to help each other that this is the perfect foundation for coming together. So I look at the shop local, like I said yesterday on your call, I look at the shop local as owners and customers coming together to understand what's happening in that particular business. And I look at the Small Business Coalition as what's happening in that business and how can we advocate for something better. So it's always going to be where we are or something better. And I think that is, I mean, I personally feel like that's super important, and it's being underutilized right now. So I really invite everyone to join and come together and really create a powerful voice.
Yeah, Laurie, so, what was mentioned in there, the idea that they could see things coming, some of the business, and they prepared and they changed their models. And, we got this very similar story with the small businesses guys. Now I asked our office, get me out of hibernation. It's time we get out there. It's great to visit on these type of programs, but there's nothing like face-to-face and hello and what's going on. But Biomes has Marine Biology Center, which is down North Kingstown. What a unbelievable place. He's got more and more. He's got more different types of, like horsefish and crabs and sharks and his whole center got shut down. And he was saying, I had to make moves very quickly because he depended on school visits, in terms of fees to come in and see, I think one of the largest of its kind in all of New England in terms of all the different animals and creatures that are in there, that live in the water. But he said the same thing that you said the story with one of your businesses that were on that video.
Yeah, and you'll see that when they come on, you'll see that they made moves fast, and that was a big part of just staying alive in the business world right now.
Well, let's bring them on. Let's talk to them. Let's have them share their stories, and that's great. And Laurie, you kind of take over for me a little bit. I'm welcoming everybody, but please introduce everybody. You're right in the center. You're like the Brady Bunch here. You're right in the center of my screen.
Right.
So
the Brady Bunch. I still haven't mastered the pointing thing on this video. But let me just say that this is the first time that the stars of the video come together. And I promise all the people that are going to be on this video and future videos, we're going to have a big party when this is over. And we're going to celebrate each other. So we have Alicia Catucci from White Dog Distilling and Harry Adler from Adler's Design Center and Hardware, and Joellen Hockenbrow from Providence Power Yoga. So you guys can all unmute and maybe just talk a little bit. I mean, you see in the video that the emotion is there, and each one of you really pivoted quickly. And before you really got any word, Joellen, I remember sitting with you Friday before the state closed on Sunday or Monday, wondering and worrying about what was going to happen. And Harry, I remember, this idea of saying, the staff is nervous. So I guess I'll go to Harry and just say, maybe one of the things that I always like to do is have businesses say or do whatever they can do to help other businesses, because I feel like telling these stories is such a great way to have another business listen and say, oh, I didn't think of that, or I can do that. And so maybe you could just talk about like what really happened inside your store.
Yeah, and also Harry, everybody share your business, because a lot of people that are watching this are not familiar with the type of business you're in, and give it a little overview of that, as well as, respond to what Lori just asked.
Yeah.
Sure.
And welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. My grandfather started our business 101 years ago only in current location. He started as a Army Navy surplus and work clothes retailer. And I'm part of a third generation. I've been working there either 43 or 55 years, depending on when you want to count the starting date, because I started working when I was 10 years old. And, when we were faced with that reality that I think all retailers, all people living in the United States were, I think it was the day the NBA canceled their game. And that was the moment when we realized that this was a big thing. That weekend, we were open to the public on the Saturday, I remember. And the following day, I talked to my cousin, business partner, Mark, and said, tomorrow, I don't think we should let customers in the store. And that's a revolutionary concept, right? To have a retail shop without customers in your store. And so we just, there were a couple of retailers who were a day or two ahead of us that I had talked with, not necessarily in Rhode Island, found out how they were doing it. And we just decided, while we weren't mandated to do it, that safety and, in a sense, leadership, because we're all looking to each other for how to do this. And we just felt that safety, with so many unknowns, we didn't know how the virus spread, surfaces were a huge suspect. We just felt what we always do is take the long view, not what's good for today or tomorrow, but what's good for the next year or 5 years. And we felt that the only responsible thing to do was to change our protocol. And again, we weren't mandated to do it. We chose to do it. And my staff was way more comfortable. It was hard, but they actually would say at the end of one of those days how fun that day was, because it was hard. They embraced the challenge of doing curbside pickup or deliveries. We did tons of them. And we've discovered that people love the convenience of those services. And I, as I said in the video, expect to continue to offer those services going forward, because they just make us better retailers. So there's a hidden gem for us in there.
So Harry, we got a little in common. My grandfather, in around 1917, I think he started an ice business in Cumberland, and then my dad and his two brothers, after the war, moved it into like a kerosene, then an oil and a plumbing business. My dad died in '86, so my two brothers and myself, and I haven't been really part of the business because we decided that one brother was going to kind of be able to raise their family on the business. So, but I'm my brothers now, and so we're third generation, and trying to figure out the same things as you're trying to figure out right now.
Yeah, it's it's not easy, but nothing is easy. I think that the things that seem easy end you in jail. So
we don't want to go there.
We don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. So I think the things that take an honest day's work, and I think that all of us who have had long-standing businesses, just show up every day and do all the basics as well as we can do them. And this fit into that. The advantage of being small is it allows you to be nimble. And, it's not like the QE2 trying to turn around in the middle of the ocean. We're a small boat and we turn very quickly. And I think that was one of the things I was so impressed watching the video, is how quickly everyone responded, how responsibly they responded.
Yeah, and Laurie, again, we're out talking to businesses just like this today, and it was remarkable how flexible these businesses, responded very, very quickly. I mean, even one of them, and they have a lot of goodwill, right, Harry? I mean, in all our businesses, at least, there's a lot of goodwill that our small businesses develop, And in this one business, actually had many of the people who were supporting him on their own did a GoFundMe for him, so that he could pay his electric bill, so that he could stay in business.
Yep.
So I think that's remarkable, and that's why I've been saying how important our small businesses are to our communities. I was a former mayor as well in Cumberland, and I know that the character of our community in many ways is shaped by our small businesses and the services they provide to the people who live in our communities.
Well, I remember flying into Minnesota, to the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport, and renting a car and driving away from the airport and going by stores that did not tell me where I was. They were the stores that are everywhere, the Home Depots, the Walmarts, and so forth. And it wasn't until you get into the city and you go to a one-of-a-kind retail shop like any of ours that gives you a sense of place that's unique and is part of how a community is defined. And so, I think that the critical nature of what we bring has been really apparent to our client base. And I'm not surprised that a GoFundMe page would start to keep one of these businesses intact, because we as businesses who have done a good job of being community members matter to our communities if we've done it well. And because we're not just there to take funds and bring them to the corporate offices out of state, we live in the communities, we're part of the communities. And I think in troubled times like this, I've never in my time, whether it's 43 or 55 years of doing this, have experienced so much customer support and so much very clear articulation from our customers. I am here because I want you to be here.
Yeah, and the businesses support our local communities, and I can't wait to hear the next couple of stories, Lori, as we get into this conversation. But I'll just leave it on the tour as well. We had one of the businesses that didn't close that we visited today, and they happened to keep their their business model intact. And whether they do, they provided a strategy to donate almost $12,000 out of a small business into the local food bank to provide meals for the people who live in the community. So I think that is another reflection of a small businesses that were doing okay, and they contributed back in and found a way to contribute back in during these difficult times. And yet us businesses there that was really providing this great service to many, many people, and they were on hard times to a certain degree, and the community responded. Those are stories that you just can't make up. Lori, introduce our next celebrity. Who was on that video.
I would say that Alicia. I can see that Joellen's having a little technical issue, so she will eventually get here. But Alicia, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, and I just wanted, maybe you can go talk a little bit about what was happening in your kitchen before you actually created White Dog Distilling.
Well, before White Dog Distilling, everybody except for myself still has their full-time job. My husband's a teacher. Eric he works for the VA, and we have another partner who's a lawyer. So they are all still very actively performing their jobs. Wow. And my husband had the interest in making spirits and wanted to do something a little different other than breweries. So we actually met Nicole at Crooked Current, and he was really impressed with what she did in a 650 square foot space, which is she produces and serves her customer. And she informed us of a 350 square foot space or 300 square foot space, which is where we started. We started in 2018 and expanded into our current tasting room in 2019. And here we are in 2020 with everyone else trying to figure out how to run our business in the current climate.
Where are you located, Alicia?
We are located in Pawtucket.
Yeah.
In Lorraine's Mills, across the street from Lorraine's Fabric Store. Lorraine's Diner is there as well, alongside brewery and art galleries and dance studios. There's just many, many businesses inside that mill, as well as residents. We have a tasting room. We offer tastings, cocktails, and bottles to go. And up until March 15th, which is the day we closed our doors to the public, that was our business. So we were 100% customer service facing. We do not ship. You have to come to us. So we turned curbside that following Thursday, and by Saturday, we came up with cocktail kits. You know, a lot of our business are cocktails, and we can't serve cocktails if people aren't sitting at our bar. So we had to find a way to really kind of give people what they were used to having at in our space, which was interesting because, you know, as a producer of spirits in Rhode Island, we can only serve what we make. So they were used to getting creative cocktails that you can't mix with another mixer as sitting at our bar. So we needed to find a way to sell that, and that's how we did it, through cocktail kits. We also provided sanitizer because at that time there were none on the shelves. So rather than distilling whiskey and gin as we normally do, we distilled high grain neutral spirit and mixed sanitizer that was federally approved.
So Alicia, I know, like right now, as the weather shifts, we've heard restaurant owners saying, you know, what is the item or the thing of most concern? And a lot of people say weather. And so I'm just wondering, like, how are you approaching moving into the fall and the winter seasons? I know at the end of the video, one of the challenges was this idea of creating that outdoor space and expanding that opportunity for people to come and sit and enjoy. And by the way, I guess I should say we did strategically plan that the end of our video day would be at White Dog Distilling. So, there are some pretty amazing watermelon drinks there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that is still in the work. In terms, the semi-permanent solution to outdoors is still in the works. So right now we still put up and break down tents for each service, and trying our best not to close when it rains. When we have had people come during tough weather, which is important, like so many other businesses that are operating today and are weather sensitive. And whether, even if you're not weather sensitive, the pandemic has created a much lower revenue stream. It's just, it is what it is. As I talk to some peers out there, they're still at minuscule percentages of the businesses that they used to have. So if you are fortunate enough to still be operating, it is critical for you to be open, and you just to close because of weather or any other reasons. It's tough. It really is. So we're working on it, and we're trying our best to stay open.
Yeah, Laurie and Lisa, when going out and talk to these businesses, they put on a real good face, but they also when you kind of dig under a little bit and you kind of get under, peel back the onion a little bit, it is not easy, and that's we want to keep that the spirit alive, but we also want to be hearing what Lisa was just saying, that is a challenge. And one of the things that the city of Pawtucket has done with Mayor Grebby and us, they've really made a go-to place for some of this distilling. I know RI Spirits is in Pawtucket as well, and we visited with Kathy and Kara, and we actually had them on one of these programs where they did a little bit of the cocktails and a little demonstration. But Pawtucket is a really that's in my area. Cumberland is a really great place that is really moving forward on a number of the art issues and these kind of these very social places where people can go, and when the COVID is wasn't here, and it becomes it's a meeting place, right? Your places are like meeting places for people to go and talk and talk about the the way that things are in Rhode Island. Hopefully it's positive most of the time, but
Yeah.
but it is a go-to place,
No,
right,
absolutely.
Elisa?
Absolutely. Definitely on the upswing. Actually, I believe it's September 22nd to 28th last year will mark the 1-year anniversary of the Pawtucket Craft Crawl. It was an absolute huge success last year. And that was one of the difficult decisions we had to make, was not to have that event this year that brought thousands of people into our doors. 5 breweries, 2 distilleries in a very small radius. And, we look forward to hopefully doing that next year. But we're definitely excited about the community, the craft distilling and brewing community in Pawtucket.
Yeah, and again, when you talk about needing to, like, that crawl and that, the introduction to our small businesses, in particular, in this case in Pawtucket, again, I talked to Kristen, who was the executive director of the chamber down there. They have a fabulous event in an airplane hangar in Quonset, where hundreds of the small businesses gather, and people hear about it, and the buzz goes out there. So, without those activities, it becomes a challenge, right, Elisa, to kind of keep the momentum alive, and that's one of the reasons I'm so pleased to be able to work with Lori, because she's committed to do that.
I was thinking about the idea that we talked about yesterday, and so we have this shop local Rhode Island site, and we have hundreds and hundreds of Rhode Island businesses on there, and you can search on that site for something that you're looking for. And as a business, you can go onto that site and put your entire menu or all the products and services that you deliver. So if someone's looking for something, they can search on the site and find the local companies that are going to be available for them. So I'm anticipating the gift season. And I want to say, if there's an opportunity, find those local businesses that have these products and services that are available to you, and really make this, I don't know, I guess, spread the wealth. It's what we can do. And it's, the platforms are available, and if we can help, we'll help. I guess that's just, that's the way I really.
Absolutely. I think that's great.
Yeah. Like Alicia, both Harry and Alicia, you put all the stuff that you guys deliver, and anybody else that's listening. And so when people need these special things, they know exactly where to go. And even as I'm saying it, I'm like, okay, I probably need to do that for you right now. Why haven't we done that? But yeah, it's an opportunity for all businesses. And again, this thing started because businesses were contacting us saying that they wanted to get on to the site, and we helped them get that digital footprint that they may or may not have had before, and now they have it, and they have a link where they can send their customers to go and get the information and know how they're operating. So I really thank you guys for being the first to step up and really share this story. I hope it helps other businesses to think about what's happening inside.
Hey, Ben, are you still listening out there? I don't know whether I was hoping that we'd have the yoga, our yoga crew on. But what's happening there, Ben?
Technical issues.
Is that right?
Yeah. And we can't hear.
Yep, sorry, I muted myself. I was trying to not come on tonight because we're in the middle of a birthday party.
I know. Yeah. Happy birthday to whoever. We'll sing happy birthday on the way out. I'll be singing happy birthday.
Joellen is having some technical issue that I've literally never seen before. She has perfect Wi-Fi, but she can't hear or see you guys. I don't know what that's about. I told her that we would try to get her back on another time.
Yes.
And we tried the whole half hour, 45 minutes while that was happening. But unfortunately, she's not going to be on tonight. She said thank you and she's sorry. And so, Laura, if you have anything that you want to throw out for that,
Yeah, I was just
you worked with them.
one of the things that Joellen brought up in her video. So each company that that does the video with us and tells their story is going to get their own little vignette. And one of the things that Joellen brought up in the video was this idea of, you know, the yoga studios as an industry came together, and they would not have ordinarily come together and shared their practices or shared how they're bettering their businesses. Because, I mean, technically they're competitors, but it was really important for them to understand how they could create their plan for reopening. And I guess I would ask you guys, have you seen similar actions within your own industry?
Well, we certainly,
Definitely. Oh, go ahead, Harry.
yeah, I was going to say we certainly have. You know, we we're members of different cooperatives. You know, Ace Hardware. We have a paint company, C2 Paint, which is a cooperatively owned company. So I am able to reach out to other like retailers, not necessarily local. And when we were looking to do curbside pickup and delivery only, we could talk to other retailers about how they were doing, what they were doing, what did they learn from it, which I would actually be glad to share with any local quote unquote competitor, because, you know, in every industry there's enough for more than one, and, you know, competition is not an evil thing, and you really want other like small businesses to do well. So we're always glad to learn from others and to share what we're doing with others. I think it just and particularly in a crisis, you know, I think that's, let's face it, this is as much of a crisis as any of us will likely see in our lifetimes. 2020 will be that historic year, and anything we can do to help others, we should do.
Yeah.
Were your business, Harry, Alicia, able to qualify for any of the PPP loans, the SBA,
Yep.
you know, the other, you know, the EIDL loans, which is or even the grants that are currently available, which I really encourage people to apply for, because we need to get that money out the door. Otherwise, I think the state's going to say, oh, our small businesses don't need the help. So, but yeah, were you able to qualify for anything like that?
We
Tell us
did.
a
We
little bit
did
about
get
that
the
process.
we got the PPP money. We applied, worked with our local bank. That process on the acquisition side was very smooth. We don't understand. Our bank can't tell us what part of that is a forgivable loan and what part of it is not at this point. So that is a bit of a hiccup, because we don't have a way of accurately planning. You know, if it's a loan, we need to know what we have to be prepared to pay back, and what's a forgivable loan obviously is to our benefit. You know, we're just flat out lucky that we're in the industry, you know, the home improvement industry, which, you know, with people staring at their four walls for months on end and working from home, some of them are thinking about what color that might want to be. And
Yes.
and, you know, so
Like the wall behind me, I actually
yeah, that's
contraire, green.
yeah. So, you know, I think we've been fortunate on a whole slew of different levels. You know, to stay healthy, because that's always, you know, like
Yes.
nothing matters if that's not present.
Right.
And, you know, with 101 years of business in a location, we've got a loyal following who have appreciated in this period of time our efforts to keep everyone safe and make life doable. You know, people, when you bring out their merchandise to their car, they pop their trunk and it appears and off they go. And that's been something that I think will be going on for a long period of time. After COVID is just a very bad memory. But so the only thing we've applied for is the PPP. So,
yeah. And so that we've on Tuesdays at noon, we've been having a virtual town hall, a small business virtual town hall. Every week we have Mark Hayward on from the SBA to give us updates on the on everything, the SBA, federal, but the PPP guidance on the forgiveness will be coming out. He spelled out that loans that were under 150,000 are going to be very, very simply, looked at, and then anything over that's going to be a little bit more in depth. But those guidelines are going to come, Ari. We'll make sure Lori will know when they come out, because I'll let her know, and you'll have a pretty good heads up on what's happening in there. But there's plenty of time left before we have to do that. But that's the type of things that our office has tried to be, this information center, and trying to find all this information and then get it out to people so that they, that they don't say, oh, I didn't know that, type of thing. So, that's an important piece right now, is on the forgiveness, but that's what Mark Hayward's guidance is right now. So, Lisa, were you able to participate in any of the, the helpful, so-called helpful programs that were out there?
We haven't, and it may
Actually,
be.
unfortunately.
Go ahead, Alicia.
Unfortunately, no. So on we entered into the loan piece later, as you might say, in the pandemic, primarily because the early half, we were just trying to figure out sanitizer and get that out the door, alongside pushing our regular business forward. And so on the later half, as an owner operated business, we don't qualify. And then some of the other needs, like our largest need, is a physical structure, and that in most loans, the money cannot be used towards furniture or structures or buildings. So our biggest need, as we've talked about, I think people in the restaurant industry and hospitality, is outside where it's safest to serve the customer. We need coverage to protect us from weather. And so thus far, we don't really qualify. So, we're trying to figure it out and do the best that we can. But
what are some of the things that you think that would be helpful to your business, in terms of what, have you qualified for one of the grants, for instance? States around the country are using some of the federal dollars, and they're providing grants to small businesses. Rhode Island has started one, but some of the sole proprietors right now are not qualifying. Yet in other states they do. But right now, funding is important. Money is important, especially money that you don't have to incur debt on, right?
Right.
Right.
So I mean,
yes. Well, we're trying to work on that.
It is that outside structure, I would say, is the biggest financial need. And weeks prior to the shutdown, we actually secured a larger space for our expansion, and we held off as long as we could. But it really is a critical need to move our production out of 300 square feet into a bigger space. So we are proceeding with that out of need, and it'll allow us to do some other things like canning, for example. That, especially during COVID, is something that we can push out to the customer. It becomes a cocktail to go. And we have done a form of that, but much like you see breweries do cans and it's easy for the customer, that's a necessary evolution of our business. So, the physical structure is the number one need. And we're working on it, and we're working with our building, and whether they can help us or they can't help us, we have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because the inside capacity is nowhere near what we had or need it to be to continue. We're getting by, but we're juggling minimal capacity, expansion, weather, just trying to keep up.
Yeah, it's a challenge. We were on Broad Street in Providence last week on our Take It Outside tour, and we met with a handful of dozen or so food truck operators. I know that they actually participate in a lot of the breweries and the distilleries out there, to provide that food option. And interestingly enough, Elisa, they were kind of talking about like you were, like they're looking to expand, they're looking to buy vehicles. They talk about how their vehicles in the winter are like an ice box if they're not insulated, and in the summer they're like an oven because they're not insulated. But they're talking about expanding, and we're going to get them in touch with the SBA just for that. So if there's a cost to what you're doing in terms of expanding, we would certainly sit down with Lori, and she can kind of steer you in our direction in terms of like seeing what the options are out there.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Lori,
Yeah.
we're coming up on the hour, so I don't know whether you want Harry and Elisa to say anything, or you want to talk about anything that's on your mind. But yeah, you give everybody the last word here.
I would say, yeah, that is exactly what I want to do. I just want, first, I really want to thank you guys for opening your businesses, allowing our crew to come in and film and tell your story. And one of the things about working in Visual Thrive, I mean, we have an amazing team, and we fall in love with the people we work with. And so we just go above and beyond, and we just think that that's a normal course of business. So I just really want to thank you, and thank you for coming on tonight and spending an hour to just share this story even more. So I will just give it up to you guys and say thank you.
Harry, please.
We laugh at work about how smart we were in December when we hired Lori and Scott in Visual Thrive. I was joking at the end of our video, which didn't appear, that I didn't realize I had psychic abilities, which apparently I did, because we've changed our protocols 87 different times, and by working with Lori and team, we've been able to communicate that seamlessly with our clients, and it's made all the difference, because information is power, and to have a local resource that's so not just good at what they do, but so absolutely willing to make it work. I mean, these people care about their clients, and they care about their community, and they're really good at what they do.
Yeah, and Harry, I'll have to say, we don't just have two small businesses on here tonight. We got three, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
Lori's one of them. And one of the things that I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that we go over on our small business town hall meeting is the fact that businesses who are struggling, if they are in need of like guidance, there are options that they can go. They can go to someone like Lori. They can call our office, and we can get them in touch with the small businesses. And one of the things we talked about yesterday was if your business is struggling to the point where you're thinking that you might be closing it, and that, unfortunately, there's many like that right now. Before, Mark Hayward's advice, before you put the key in the door, make sure you call and get the guidance that you need. What you just talked about there is so important, what you just said, that we need to seek out the guidance and the information. And before we make a decision or a rash decision, make sure that we seek out all the possibilities out there. And you were smart to talk to Lori, and our office can, we certainly say to Lori, we'll let people know that she's around, but we also can provide, good advice that's coming from the small business councils down in URI and other areas, SCORE and other things. That's the advice that I would make sure that any businesses out there that are struggling, get that last piece before you choose to, shut the doors. We don't want you to do that.
Yeah. And I wasn't giving the last word just for a testimony.
Well, you got it. So you deserve it. That reminded, we got three businesses
I
on
will
tonight.
always
Alicia,
appreciate- I will always
anything you
appreciate
want to say? You can say something nice about Laurie if you want.
Yeah, you don't have to.
No, but honestly, thank you very much. And we don't get out much. You know, we can be better entrepreneurs by networking and getting out more often, and we don't. And that was the first thing I said to Lori afterwards. You know, it's like, thank you for coming to us and wanting to share our story. And I said it in the video, and I'll say it again. It's great to meet you, Lieutenant Governor McKee, and Harry online, and Lori, I met through this video. It's another example of the community and people that are out there for you. And the same thing with working with our cocktail kit partners. It's just reaching out, and our Spirit family, you know, none of us, not one business on camera today or who's not on camera would be there without our community and our supporters. So thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And thanks to everyone, because we're only here because of our customers.
There you
New
go.
and old.
Yeah,
Right,
there you go. That's right. You could be a 2-year-old business or 100 and, how many you, Harry? 103?
101.
101. There you go.
101.
Anyways,
Yeah.
thanks
We
everybody
try
for
to
coming on.
be
Lori, great
community
video. We'll keep up the good work, and we'll keep on plugging away for these small businesses. And I love what Harry says, that, you know, we're willing to share information together to kind of make sure that our businesses survive this very difficult, challenging economic crisis that we're in, that's been brought on by this health crisis. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We'll be in touch.
For having us.
Yep. Yeah. So there you go. And that's a great video that Laurie's put up. It really, and then you just heard from Harry and Elisa on their businesses. They represent the same stories that I heard down in North Kingstown today. The same story I'm going to hear tomorrow when I'm in East Greenwich with Steve Lombardi and the chamber down there and visiting businesses there. If you want me to visit your community and hear your story and try to share that with people and do everything we can to make sure that, you know, your small business continues, please let us know. You can call us 222-2371. You can email us at ltgov20@gmail.com. And we appreciate the fact that you're listening in and all the comments that were made tonight. Yeah, share this out. Let's make sure that we're doing everything we can to help our small businesses. And what Laurie's talking about, holiday season coming up, we're going to have a special strategy to, you know, you can shop online with our small businesses just like you can shop online with those bigger businesses. Right now, this is the time to support our small businesses. So good night. Thank you for coming into the community conversation. Next week, we'll be here at 7 o'clock. And on Tuesday, we'll have our virtual town hall with our small businesses. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have some of our North Kingstown businesses on to tell their story. Thank you, everybody.